So this session, I will talk about basically a Unreal 101, just to give you a little intro to the basic UI and how to build a simple scene using the Unreal Engine. So if you have experience with the Unreal Engine already, so you can just skip this course. In this lesson, I will be using this free demo called Open World Demo Collection. This is actually a trimmed down version of the Boys and His Kite demo. It has like probably 20% of whatever the assets in the actual full demo, but that's all we need. So we're just gonna talk about how to build a simple like mountain and use the Unreal Paint tool to paint some foliage. So basically, we just need to now create a new project. We create a new blank project in Unreal Engine, and we find a place for it. Just give it a name. We're just gonna call test for now. We need to create an empty project first, and then we will import this free learning demo into the project as an individual folder. So what we need to do is, after the empty project is created, you can see there's nothing in this project for now. We only have a very standard demo scene. Under the content browser, we only have a startup content. Now we need to import that open world collection demo. So we go back to the Learn section and we click on this open world demo. And if the first time you running this demo, you will have to download it first. And then if you download, you just need to add to project. We navigate to the blank project we just created. It's called test. All right. And we can just add this whole package into the project. If we go back to Unreal Engine now, you can see under the content tab, we have a Kite demo folder created, and this folder actually contains all the assets that used in the open world demo collection. So right now we can have access to the environment model and the texture material. If we go into cliff, you can see there's actually a scan cliff model. We have some a ground tile texture. So let's just create a new empty level just to give a demonstration how to use this kind of assets and how to put them together. So the basic viewport navigation is pretty much the same as mine. I hold it out and use the mid mouse, left and right click just to rotate and stuff. But here you can also hold down the right click on your mouse and use WSD to navigate like the FPS game. So this is pretty handy to use when building a very large scene. Alright, now let's build an empty new level. We need just the default level. So now we have a very standard default empty level. Then we need to create a ground plane. So if we go to the basic, if you go to basic tab on the left, we can now drag in those model that we need, and we just drag it in, and we need to scale it. Scale it so we have a ground that covers a good amount of area, and we turn off the snap. We turn off the snapping option, and then we just scale it up a little bit. Okay, the first step then we need to do is we need to give this ground a tile texture. If we go under the Kite demo environment and ground tile, we can find a preset. We can find a preset material just to drag and drop on top of the texture slot for this ground geo. You can see now we have already assigned this ground geo a preset texture. And the first thing we notice that right now this ground tile texture is too big, meaning that we may need to tile the UV a little bit more. So what we can do is we can double click on the shader itself, and then double click on the parent shader, because this is the instance. We need to go back into the parent shader to tweak the parameters. And this will open up the sort of like a material editor tab in 3D Studio Max. All we need to do is just navigate it. As far as I remember, it's on the very left. If we go to here, so this node actually contains the UV information of the texture. So what we need to do is we just need to repeat the U and V tiling into, let's say, 5, and we save it and apply it. Right now the shader is compiling, and after the compile, if we hit apply, so you can see after we tweak the numbers in the UV tiling, now we have a more right now we have a better UV tiling texture presentation on our plane, that the size, in terms of the texture size, looks better. And then let's just drag the cliff model into it. We're gonna build a wall. So after, I think this cliff model is a photo scan, so we only have one side of the scan, the other side is transparent. And let's just rotate the light a little bit so the light doesn't penetrate through the back side of this of the cliff. So after we rotate the directional light and we move the cliff a little bit. Right now I'm just navigating through the WASD while holding the right click on your mouse. We probably need to scale up the ground a little bit more. And I kind of want to move the light a little bit more. You can see here it says the lighting needs to be rebuilt, because right now we are using a stationary light, so all the texture right now we see is only in preview mode. If we want to get the actual lighting, we need to build the light. Basically it will bake the lighting and the shadow information into the texture. So that's why when we import assets into Unreal, always recommended to try to avoid the UV overlapping as much as you can. Because if there's UV overlap, when we bake the light, the shadow will just go on top of each other and we won't get the right result. Now we can hold Alt and drag the cliff to copy it, and we copy again to the right. Just rotate a little bit. And then the next step is I kind of want to paint some of the foliage onto the ground using the paint tool. Let me just open up the foliage to see. You can see this is the fully prepared production ready assets, and it even has like the wind, sort of like a wind filled noise movement on the leaves. So now if we go under the foliage tab, what we need to do now is just to add the foliage assets, not the shader but the asset itself, and just to drag and drop under the tab. So now we can just duplicate this asset that we selected using the paintbrush. So you see as we paint, this asset has been instanced. So because it's instanced, it doesn't really take more extra memory. And we can actually hold on Shift and paint that as an eraser just to just remove the foliage that we don't want. And we can tweak the brush size and density just to give a better result, a more realistic result. Let's add some flowers into this ground as well. Let me find a flower that I like. Maybe I'll just do the heather. Same thing, drag and drop under the foliage tab. Okay, you see right now, because we already have the grass in there already, so we only want to add the flower. So we need to make sure uncheck the grass and only keep the flower checked. So right now when we paint, it will only instance whatever assets we checked inside the foliage tab. So this is a very handy tool for us to paint some of the foliage and just to fast duplicate some assets over the ground. And next thing, I think I can probably add some trees. Let's just uncheck the flower and grass. We just check the tree. And because tree, we don't want to paint the trees, there will be too many. We want to have a more accurate tool just to specify where we want those trees. So now we can make sure we check the single instance mode. What we have is we click specific place using our cursor, and we will only get one instance per click. So right now you can see I can just click whenever. I can just plant the trees to exactly where I want it to be. Just to recap, so we assign the texture to a ground plane, and we put some geometry in it and copy and paste it, and use the paint tool to paint the extra layer of the foliage. You can play with the kite demo. There are actually more assets. There are more assets than what we see here. And later on, we will be adding some lighting and some atmospheric fog. But I will go in depth in chapter 5. And here is pretty much it for Unreal 101. Since we're not using a blueprint or coding anything specific, we only use Unreal Engine for rendering. So that's pretty much the basic knowledge you need to know to get you prepared for the following chapters. And in the next chapter, I actually will be talking about a very important camera rig in Maya to avoid gimbal lock issues when we're animating it. So I'll see you in the next chapter.
Purchase genuine tutorial. Enjoy the question answering from Course Tutor in the long term. Join the exclusive Facebook group and learn from each other. Also, you can sign up with Yihu.com. Search for the course ID. Obtain the full learning courseware, project files. Follow us on Facebook. Get closer to become a master in CG field.